So I guess kind of by popular demand, because after the Charm deep dive, in which I played 6 or 7 tracks by the Charm, I said, would you like me to do more like this, where I play more from an artist rather than just a 12-inch of tracks or one track from someone? And pretty much everyone said, yeah, but pretty much everyone said, they've got to be good though, not just for the sake of doing it. And I was in the shower, not that any of you need to know that I was in the shower, but sometimes I just think things and it comes out and I don't, I have no filter. So I was in the shower. Oh God, I'm going to tell you, got out naked. And I always seem to have my best Oh, that don't sound right. I always seem to have my best moments and my best moments in the shower when I get out. And I thought, I know what I'm going to do before I head off to my gig in Sheffield tonight. I'm going to do a video about Ron Wells. I'm gonna play a handful of stuff from Ron Wells, maybe even more from back then. Play something new from Ron. Play something that me and Sanction done as an absolute dedication to Ron, and to explain what Ron means to me. To kick this off, so as you know, it was either To The Core magazine, Dream magazine, or Eternity magazine. Round about, do you know what? It might have even been DJ Mag, but around 96, 97. I think it was DJ Mag. I've got it behind me, or it may have been in a couple of them. But around 96, 97, when I was being interviewed in those magazines, and me, Rob, Austin, Darren Design, and various people were moving the needle on for hardcore and becoming more experimental, sometimes more trancey, sometimes more techno-y, sometimes more just instrumental. If I think to tracks like TARDIS to Brooklyn that we made, or Stargate, or just certain tunes that we were doing on our GBT label, I said in one of those interviews, and I'm going to say it was DJ Mag, that Ron Wells and what he did with Basement and Sound Entity around 93, 94 was my personal inspiration for why I moved on with the hardcore that I was making. Rob, Darren, Austin Reynolds would all have their different inspirations, but I name checked what Basement and Ron and then was doing. That was my inspiration, because as we get going with some of these records that I'm gonna play, especially like Plight of the Innovators, in like 94 when they was coming through, and you had like really classy piano records like Ramos and Supreme and Sunset Regime, The Journey. Then you had kind of like really cutting edge, like when I think of LTJ Booker music, you had some really just really classy records, whether they was piano-y tunes from Ramos Supreme and Sunset Regime, or whether they were deeper tunes from LTJ Bookham and various others. There was many, but they're the ones that come to mind. But then you had this really unique DJ Ron Wells, not DJ Ron Wells style that really caught me. And that was the inspiration when we was moving on. And as the years have gone on, I've found out so much about Ron that I never knew. Like you know, Fantasy coming in and saying Ron produced, we used Ron's studio for DJs Unite Volume 1 and Never Tried a Hippodrome and that blew me away. Over the years when Ron has gone, Dan, that Urban Hype, I Feel the Heat you play, I had a part in that. Finding out things like Citizen Kane, Set Me Free. Like, there's just been so much that has, even as a Ron Wells fan who inspired me to as far, like 1996 is exactly 30 years ago. And I was in magazines bigging that style and that sound up, and still to this day I find out more and more and more. And when I did my Digging Deep Volume 1 album and I wanted this track on it, I think I had about 7 or 8 Ron tracks on that album, on that mix album. And when I found out this was Ron, it absolutely blew my mind. So I'm going to play this because it's been a staple in my radio sets, a staple in my vinyl sets. I've got a Wax On set from Birmingham this is in. It was on my Digging Deep album. It was something that we used to play at Labyrinth. It wasn't necessarily a defining signature Labyrinth anthem that you would look back on, but it was just one of those tunes that defines a moment at 12 Dalston Lane and defines a moment at Tasco Warehouse. But I'm going to kick off with this one, and then we're going to go into that distinct Ron Wells jungle techno sound. That whole section, classic dub track, Firehouse Rock. I love what I've read about the next track. And something's just dawned on me as well as I've looked at the title of this EP. Incidentally, over the years, as I've found out more and more things are Ron Wells that are staples in my sets, whether it's big tunes that I play at festivals or underground tracks or radio tracks, was when the pennies drop when I listen to the percussion and I'm like, oh, you idiot. You should have known that just from the percussion. But sometimes it's not as obvious as that. And yeah, Ron has left me absolutely fascinated and like wowed a number of times. Now, bloody hell, another one of them moments. The visit to 14B EP is what this free track is called, from Kev Bird and the Wax Doctor, with Dark Matter, Airspace and TBN. I'm going to play your TBN. I cannot remember for the life of me what whether this is on 33 or 45. It makes sense now. Fantasy said he used to go to Ron's legendary address at 14B in the interview that he done in the Fantasy podcast. I got a feeling that this is 33. Please don't embarrass me. I'm convinced this is 33. And I've always been really fond of this one, because if you caught my hip house mix, I played Loose Bruce, Feeling Moody, which is where the vocal sample of this is from. I'm going to read the excellent anecdote I've just read of this. Let's listen to a bit more of it. I love this track. Just reading a wonderful anecdote on Discogs from Basement Phil, and so basically Phil says Kev Bird was a regular customer at my shop, and so was Paul Saunders. Paul was signed to Reading Football Club and used to come into my shop, the record basement, at least twice a week. He was nuts about techno, as I was, and I used to keep some of the obscure stuff for him. He was also a talented DJ and his mixing was tight. More important was the records he played and mixed together, which gave him a unique sound. His handle was the Wax Doctor. He hooked up with Kev in the shop and asked me if it would be okay for him to make a tune with Kev for the label. I didn't need convincing, so I rang Ron and booked the guys in. The result was a brilliant 3-track EP and was noted as jungle techno. The combination of Ron, Kev and Paul produced one of those jungle techno magical moments, and I absolutely agree. And as a side note, Kev Bird went on to be KGB, who produced some absolutely amazing, tougher and harder house music on Dave Randall's Chug and Bump recordings and the excellent Tripoli tracks, which was out of Pure Groove's record shop, the Pure Groove record shop down in Archway. And actually I remember in late 93, early 94, and I don't know if Basement Phil and KGB remember this, they might do because there's photos out there, but they actually come down and done a Basement Records showcase at Labyrinth at the Four Aces. Right, I'm gonna play we're getting into that real Ron Wells jungle techno vibe. Smooth but hazardous. Push up the levels. Now, Fancy told a story about Alex Hazard on his podcast. However, he didn't complete the story. He said it's down to Alex to finish it. And incidentally, as a side note, Alex Hazard actually sent me some new music that he's made this morning, which I'm going to, well, hopefully before I leave for my Sheffield gig, I'll get to download them. But this track, Push Up the Levels, is absolutely incredible. I love this tune. There's such an air of absolute magic to this masterpiece.
Levels till the red lights max.
literally what you can learn in the comments on Discogs. I'm going to read you some of Ron's bio. Ron Wells, known as Jack Smooth, is often credited as a pioneer of jungle techno and an early architect of drum and bass. Ron is the creator of Sound Entity Studio, which in the early 90s became a go-to facility for dance music producers. During his career, Ron has produced circa 400 dance music records, spanning many genres. He usually focuses on creating his own chord structures and melodies using synthesizers as opposed to relying on sampling the work of others. You can tell his unique soundscape. Ron's music embodies an electronic ambient techno signature with production standards that are recognisable as more polished than typical underground dance music. I love that. Ron Wells began his career at the age of 17 as a London pirate radio DJ in 1987. Crystal, Medina and WLR radio stations. He then went on to form Wax Factory Productions in 1989. Wax Factory Productions was one of the first UK dance music labels to deal directly with record shops by not having a distribution deal. In years to come, Wax Factory would earn cult status as an underground UK house and techno label. Many to this day believe that Ron's productions were from the USA due to their authentic techno sound. There's some absolutely classic Ron stuff from that moment in time. For this dive, we're concentrating on the 92-93 jungle techno era. In 1991, Ron created Sound Entity Recordings to concentrate on forming the jungle techno sound he is predominantly known for. Key artists on the label were Smooth But Hazardous, Hedgehog Affair, Jack Smooth, Floor Filler and 20 Hertz. In 1992, Ron masterminded, co-wrote and produced Trip to Trumpton with Urban Hype, which became a top 6 hit UK national chart and held a top 10 position for 3 weeks. Throughout 92 to 96, Ron produced and on most occasions co-wrote 42 releases on Basement Records, and he quickly took the Unknown label to class-leading status. In 1993, I've got to read this now. In 1993, Ron formed Smooth Recordings, which oversaw the crossover from jungle techno into intelligent drum and bass. During the same year, he also founded Fast Floor Productions in order to focus on adding more compositional structure to the jungle techno scene and further developing its transformation into drum and bass. In order to experiment further with drum and bass, Ron Wells formed Earl Grey in 1995, which was signed to MCA Music Publishing and Carl Cox's Ultimatum label. Absolutely brilliant. In 96, Dr. S. Gachet invited Ron to join him in producing a 2-hour mix for BBC Radio 1 in The Jungle Show. Also, Ron co-owned Dance Nation Radio, which was broadcast Europe-wide on Euronet, Sky Sports, Audio Channel 6, which so many of you have fond memories of. I think it's Green Apple Radio. Fantasy spoke very fondly of that moment as well. I can't remember whether this is 45 or 33. I'm going to play Top Buzz, Maintain Her. Please play at the right speed for me. It's always hard when he's not got what tempo it's meant to be played at. I did it. Top Buzz, Maintain Her, R.I.P. Jason K. Big love to Pat, Mikey. This was produced alongside Jack Smooth, aka Ron Wells. So again, I'm going to read another anecdote from Basement Phil of Basement Records. It could be argued, and I think he's talking about Living in Darkness, that this record was a blueprint for the drum and bass sound that emerged from the UK. What a lot of people don't realise was the original Living in Darkness was made in 1991. As the track grew into an anthem, it needed a fresh update, and Jason and Pat were promoting Basement Records' other releases. I suggested the guys work with Ron Wells, Jack Smooth at Basement Records. It was a marriage made in heaven, and the rest, as they say, is history. Due to the original release being such a massive hit, a remix was always on the cards. The mixes don't move that far away from the original. You all know I love the vocal mix. This is the other side of the vocal mix, actually. The mixes don't move that far from the original, but it was great to get Pat's vocals recorded on a version, as whenever the guys performed together, the crowd would sing the words back to Pat. As you know, a recent rave story, Pat broke down all the words when Fat Controller introduced her. For me, this is what Phil says in his anecdote. For me, the highlight of this release is the wonderfully dynamic Maintain Her. Wait for this bit. The studio had moved from Ron's flat at the time, 14B, Uxbridge Road, to a new building just up the road, which housed the studio upstairs and my distribution company, Vinyl Distribution, downstairs. As the track was being made, I could hear snippets coming from the studio, which made it difficult to concentrate on my work. I can still remember listening to it when they finished it and telling the guys what a hit they had got on their hands. Boom. Yeah, Maintain Her for me has always been a masterpiece and a defining Top Buzz Ron Wells sound. Again, I have no idea what tempo I am meant to put, whether it's 45 or 33. So far we've been all right, but we've got to get it wrong at some point. No 303 Electronic Experienced. You've all heard me play this many times on my Monday shows. You've heard me play it at Rave Story. You'd have heard me play it at Calling the Hardcore. I've got a feeling that we're going to get this, the tempo wrong. Yeah. Yeah. That's all right. That's all right. It shows we're real. It shows we're real. My memory's not always as good as it could be. I love this. And if you listen, as I said at the start, this kind of vibe really influenced our GBT label. And if you listen to some of the acidy stuff that we released, especially from Rob, you can hear the Ron Wells vibes within it. I love playing this tune out. Oh, I really, really do. love this tune. I'm just a sucker. Like an absolute sucker for 303, a sucker for Romwell's style and production. And yeah, on our GBT label, although go and check out a record by Rob Vanden called Gates of Oblivion. It's probably about 10 BPM faster than this, but the way in which it builds and drops and has the 303, it's more ferocious than this. It's more of a hardcore techno acidy thing, and was 3 or 4 years after this, but I think that will give you an idea of what I'm saying. Right, for me, I can't decide. Obviously I said Ron's had over 400 releases, and it is hard to pick because look, I play urban hype, I feel the heat in many of my big club sets, festival sets, and it's a staple in my big sets at the big gigs, which as we know is a Ron Wells track. We know that he had a hand in all kinds of tracks like Charm, Dementation, which we did a deep dive on recently. The sheer amount of stuff that, you know, Kev Bird, This Is a Trip, The Twilight Zone. Why haven't I even got that here? I should have got that out. But if I had to choose, and I'd have, for me personally, you lot let me know in the comments below personally your favourite Ron Wells productions under various names, or things that you found out in latter years that he engineered or co-produced or wrote or mixed. For me, it's out of this next one, Plight of the Innovators, or the one we just played you. I just remember 93, 94 when, I said it earlier, when all the music was splitting and you had a glimpse of what the future of breakbeat piano could be with Ramos and Supreme, The Journey. You had a glimpse of what the future of more drum and bass music could be with LTJ Booker Music. And you had a glimpse of what the future of jungle techno, hardcore, 4/4, intelligent music could be with Plight of the Innovators. And maybe I'm romanticizing, maybe I'm being a bit soppy, but ultimately breakbeat piano happy didn't go the way of The Journey, and drum and bass went in a completely different direction, and this kind of sound was of a very unique, magical moment. But a part of me wanted to hear more of that stuff from Ramos and Supreme, wanted to hear more of this kind of stuff from Ron Wells, but I just think timing by 94, then 95, everything just went hyper in all of its different directions. But do you know what? I'm going to play you 2 more bits after this. I'm going to play you this, then I'm going to play you something that me and Sanction did that is an absolute ode and dedication to Ron. Then I'm going to play you a recent remix that Ron's done. But I love this, Plight of the Innovators. just always loved how abstract that riff was. The way that the riff sat within the rhythm, and it was so left of centre and so unique. Literally, the future was shown to us, and it felt like the future in 1993, and it continues to feel like the future 33 years later in 2026. And I've been very honoured and privileged in recent years. So, like I say, as far back as these records, when they first come out, I was fortunate enough to play them to people raving when they were first released. Then, like I say, I as a young man, a young 20-year-old man, getting my first lot of interviews in the press and that, I would big up that sound as an influence. And then in recent years, like being able to find out from Ron himself certain tracks that he'd made himself, like he'd made, that I never knew. So that has been an honour to find that stuff out, to license tracks from him that I never knew was his for my Digging Deep project. Ron's also come over to the country and DJ'd for me at my Rave Story events, which I'm really chuffed with that one, because Ron don't do that for many people, and I think I was the last person he'd come over to the country for. It was the first time in over 5 years that he'd been over. And then also when I've done pop-up record stores in Carnaby Street, he's come down and DJ'd and met everyone and been part of what we've done. And then my last artist album with Sanction, this record was our dedication to Ron. Please share in the comments below what Ron and his sound means to you. Like I say, mapped out in my spirit and my soul and what I do, Ron's been a humongous inspiration to me personally, and I'd like to know how much he's inspired you and your musical tastes. It's literally all the ROMs. The acid, the abstract riff, the rhythm, the tempo, the strings. It's me and Sanction saying on our album 1993, we love what this guy did. This taken from mine and Sanction's Artiste album 1993. So one of my recent deep dive was Charm Dementation, which was reissued on 92 Retro. And I only played one of the remixes from this project, and I went with the Inner Core mix, and I loved the Ron Wells mix, but I went with Matt Inner Core on that particular video. Now, this here is like, if I could play you Charm, well, there's nothing to stop me from playing Charm Dementation, but obviously I did the deep dive last week or the week before. And I said when I did that video, there's only two things that you can do if you're going to remix a classic. And that's just to beef up the original and give it its... Just beef up the original and not do too much to it, or either flip it on its head. And I think that Ron Wells, in a absolute modern sense, flipped this on its head. This is Dementation, the RWJS remix, which is Ron again. I think it's going to be 33, not 45. Going to be the last one we play. Also, more recently, like Ron sends me his stuff, and he's got some brilliant housey jazz house stuff as well that I've played on my Centerfall show. But this one's been all about the jungle techno, if you like. Hopefully this comes. How childlike am I? Happy that I've put it on the right speed, not the wrong speed. Leave your thoughts, your love, your memories, your favourites from Ron Wells in the comments below. Legendary status, pioneer, visionary. just want to read you some things before we leave you that really struck a chord, and I hope you'll agree with these things. Like I've said, my love and my thought process on Ron, even made music in ode to him. I'm going to read three things, three entries in Discogs from people and what Ron means to various others. I'm not sure this is the correct name of this person. Fuddle Wocket, I believe. Arguably the finest producer of his time, Ron Wells, professionally known as Jack Smooth, produced tracks through the 90s rave scene that stood shoulders above many of his peers, unique in content, unsurpassed in quality, aspired to be by many, especially through 92 to 94, when many releases sounded like a broken stylus. Ron sounded like pure nectar, ahead of their time and still relevant all these years later. Love that. DJ Pure simply writes, GOAT and a god. No one producer has made as many amazing old school rave bangers as Ron. Harry Hype says Ron Wells was and is bloody dangerous. Not one man should have the capability to make that many tunes to such a high standard. Not even now. Never mind in the early 90s. What's even more freaky is that not only were the aforementioned early 90s tunes incredible in their day, but they still stand up now. You hear a record from 1992 and usually it sounds like it's from 1992, but Ron's work hasn't aged a day. In fact, it still sounds like it's from the future. I'm sure I said that halfway through this. DJ, legend, producer, legend, just all round pioneer, visionary, Ron the Don, Ron Wells. I don't think there's enough words to describe the excellence and the moment in time that he played a part in that has just remained seminal to our eardrums. Leave your love and your comments down below. Hope you enjoyed this deep dive into an artist that I admire beyond greatly.